Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're looking at something pretty fascinating. It's about how a plan for just 1 year abroad can, well, turn into something much, much bigger.
Yeah, we've got this interesting case of someone who moved to China, planning on just a year back in 2009.
But life happens. And he ended up staying way longer.
And the cool thing is, we have a few breadcrumbs from that early time. Some blog post titles from right back then.
Gives you a real snapshot of his thinking, doesn't it? And then we also have his CV, but from much later, 2018.
Right, which shows this whole career and life he built over there, almost a decade.
So you get this contrast between the initial thoughts captured in those blog titles.
And the reality laid out in the CV years later. It's like we can almost trace the decision-making process as it was happening.
Before he even really knew where it was heading, that's the key part.
Exactly, and the timing is important here.
Right, these blog posts are from 2009, and we know that our guy, Santeri, he actually got a 2-year extension on his original 1-year deal around spring 2009.
So when he's writing these posts, he's probably still in that initial maybe 2-year extended phase. Not thinking about, 8, 9, 10 years down the line.
Which gives us this kind of unique viewpoint looking back. We know the outcome, but he didn't.
Yeah, that lack of hindsight on his part makes these titles really telling. What makes someone actually commit to staying long term?
So the titles we have are first, Mites Jos Asusid Worden Kinasa, translates roughly to, what if you lived in China for a year? Kind of exploratory. Then, Tuite on Hetuja Nitsite on Mayos Satu. Jobs have been applied for and now they have also been obtained. Sounds like a turning point.
Definitely. A decision made there.
And the third one, Vides Naturs, Eleme Sur Kopungiza, or fifth act, life in the big city suggests settling in more.
Yeah, like a new chapter starting. And then, like you said, the CV from 2018 frames it all. Shows him in Tianjin, a telecom expert, career built in China.
So our mission today really is to unpack that shift. What were the thoughts, the choices, the experiences hinted at in these titles that turned a short trip into a long stay?
Those 2009 blog titles are our window into that initial period.
Okay, let's start with that first one. What if you lived in China for a year? Just the question itself. It says a lot about where his head was at, right?
Absolutely. It's got that mix of excitement maybe, but also uncertainty. Planning just 1 year, especially back in 2009, that's a big leap.
Yeah. What do you think the typical expectations are? Or anxieties?
Well, there's the adventure, seeing a totally different culture, but also probably worries about language, fitting in, being so far from home. That push and pull,
So based on that title, what kind of things might he have actually written about in that post? First impressions, maybe?
Oh, for sure. First impressions are huge. The culture shock, the food, the noise, the crowds. China's a full-on sensory experience, especially coming from Finland.
I bet. He probably talked about the sheer scale of things, the differences in customs.
Yeah, maybe navigating daily life, initial language struggles. Those early encounters, the good and the bad, they really stick with you.
And the practical stuff too, right? Finding somewhere to live, figuring out the transport.
Oh yeah, the logistics. Getting set up. Things you take for granted at home suddenly become, well, projects.
He might have shared some funny stories about misunderstandings or, figuring things out the hard way.
Probably. Those early hurdles are part of the story.
So as he was getting towards the end of that first planned year, I wonder if the post touched on whether he was happy, if it was meeting expectations.
That's a good point. Was he already thinking, maybe longer? Even before a concrete reason came up.
Yeah, like, was he satisfied? Was the experience clicking for him?
The reflection period is key. Evaluating the pros and cons. Do I go back? Or is there something more here for me?
What might have started nudging him towards staying? Any early connections, maybe? Or experiences?
Could be anything, really.
Mm-hmm.
Making some good friends, either locals or other expats. Finding a favorite noodle shop.
Yeah, the little things.
Or maybe some early hints of professional opportunities starting to bubble up. Things that made China feel less like a temporary stop and more potential.
You're right. Those personal connections often make a place feel like home, don't they? Finding a community.
Exactly. Feeling welcome, connecting with colleagues. These things ground you.
Or maybe just one or two really memorable moments, a travel experience, a conversation, something that shifted his view.
Yeah, those aha moments can be powerful. Unexpected kindness, seeing something amazing. It creates an emotional tie,
Okay, so that first title captures the what if. Then we get jobs have been applied for and now they have also been obtained. Wow, that's a clear shift.
Big time. That's moving from thinking about it to actively doing something about staying.
And we know this probably lines up with spring 2009 when he got that 2-year extension. It's not passive anymore.
No, he's hitting the pavement looking for work. In China, in 2009, think about that.
Yeah, the effort involved, navigating a totally different job market, possibly language barriers.
It implies real perseverance, doesn't it? Researching companies, tailoring his CV, going through interviews that were likely quite different.
And then the second part, now they have also been obtained. You can almost hear the relief, right? And the excitement.
Definitely. Success, it's validation, it means stability, a concrete reason to be there.
And crucially, we know from the 2018 CV that he landed a pretty significant role around May 2009, operational manager, principal engineer at Nokia in Beijing.
Ah, so it fits perfectly.
Yeah,
This blog post is likely him talking about getting that job.
exactly. Which explains the 2-year extension and sets the stage for, well, everything that followed.
That job was probably the anchor, leveraging his telecom background at a major international company, but in China.
I wonder if the post itself talked about the job hunt, like how it went. Any tips or observations?
Maybe. Could have been reflections on Chinese work culture compared to Finland, first impressions of Nokia Beijing.
It really feels like the turning point, doesn't it? Where
Yeah.
the temporary idea starts becoming more permanent, driven by career.
Absolutely. The what if meets the how to.
Yeah.
Getting that job was the mechanism for staying longer.
Which leads us to the third title, fifth act, life in the big city. So he's got the job, he's in Beijing. This title suggests he's settling into a rhythm.
Yeah, fifth act sounds like,
Yeah.
okay, this is the next phase. I'm not just arriving, I'm living here now in a massive city.
Life in Beijing in 2009 must have been intense. What themes do you think he explored?
Oh, the energy, the pace, probably navigating the subway, trying all the food, seeing the mix of ancient sites and brand new skyscrapers.
That contrast is amazing in Chinese cities, the old and the hyper-modern side by side.
For sure. He might have written about daily life, observations on local culture in his neighborhood, the sheer scale of it all.
Any downsides, maybe? Big city life isn't always easy. Pollution was a factor back then too, wasn't it? The pace can be draining.
He might have touched on challenges, yeah. A balanced view, perhaps. The good with the maybe not so good aspects of urban living.
But fifth act implies adaptation, right? Finding routines, maybe feeling more comfortable.
Definitely. Moving beyond being a tourist or a newbie. Establishing favorite spots, understanding how things work, building a local social life.
How do you think his initial views of China from that what-if stage might have changed by this point?
Living somewhere day to day, working there, it deepens your understanding massively, doesn't it?
Yeah, it moves beyond stereotypes.
Right. You see the nuances, the complexities. His perspective would likely be much more grounded, more informed than those very first impressions.
So let's pull it together. We see these 2009 titles, exploring the idea, getting the job, settling into city life, and then boom, the 2018 CV shows he's still there, senior role, different city even.
It's such a clear arc, even from just 3 titles, from a one-year plan to, well, nearly a decade of life and career building, all hinted at in those early stages.
He probably had no idea in 2009 that getting that Nokia job would lead to such a long-term stay.
Very unlikely. It just shows how one opportunity, one decision, can set you on a completely unexpected path.
And the CV really emphasizes that. Tianjin by 2018 roles at Nokia, then later Bellman and Symphon in Guangzhou after a sabbatical. A whole professional life built in China's tech sector.
It highlights a deep integration, professionally. He didn't just stay, he built a significant career there over many years.
So what keeps someone there that long? Obviously the career path was strong, but what else?
It's usually a mix, isn't it?
Yeah.
Career is a big driver, especially in a dynamic economy. But over time,
Personal stuff.
yeah, friendships, relationships, maybe just developing a real fondness for the lifestyle, the culture, feeling like it's home.
Right. It stops being the foreign place and just becomes where you live.
Exactly. A combination of professional opportunity and personal connection, deepening over the years.
So looking back at these early blog titles, knowing what came later, it's a fascinating glimpse. We see the seeds being sown, the initial curiosity, the decisive step of finding work, the process of adapting.
All leading to a future he couldn't have predicted back in 2009 when he was just asking, what if?
It really shows how those initial experiences and choices can completely redirect your life's course.
It's a powerful reminder of that.
Which kind of brings us to a final thought for you listening. What do you think are the key things that turn a temporary stay somewhere new into, well, a whole new life chapter?
Yeah, what can we learn from Santeri's early steps, just hinted at in these titles, about seizing unexpected chances, about adapting, about building a life maybe where you didn't originally plan to?
Maybe think about your own travels or moves or ones you dream about. What are those moments, those decisions that might make you stay or make you go home? Something to think about.